try biking or buy my pen. Bulls out for you, got one try me. I don't really like my friends, I don't really like you either. Barely can fuck with myself, I really don't care. You can confront nigga scared, can bust it prepared. Made my own propeller, save my homie feelings. I don't do opinions, pull up your panties, my nigga, and make a decision. I figure my lonely was better. McFoley when faking the fuck, you be making a fuss, but I can't give a fuck. One of us gotta be tough, hard as I gotta be. Jonathan proud of me, not if you see how I.
Hi everybody, my name is Milan Harris. I'm one half of Amani Sol, and I'm here with Bastian The Less.
Hi guys, I'm Bastian The Less, and I'm here with Milan.
All right, let's get started. So first, I really love the sleep analogy that you have with the album. I think, for me, I see it as like this progression of having our dreams, having all these things that inspire us, and then actually having to do the stuff to achieve them. So for y'all, how did y'all come about that theme, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so at the time, when I first linked up with Diego, like we were like mid-pandemic, or like I think in the early stages of the pandemic, me and Diego kind of got put in a situation where like just life stuff kind of just put us in a situation where we needed to, I could only record with Diego, and we could only really be around each other just because we had similar like home situations with my father and his grandmother. But so during the whole quarantine, I kind of locked myself at Diego's crib, and we kind of just sat in the basement. So all of that was kind of the backdrop for this album, you know, and me just pursuing the music thing as hard as I have been, for all that to kind of just get shut down on me, and it's just definitely this feeling of being stuck. So we kind of felt like we were stuck in stasis, asleep, you know what I'm saying? We can't move forward. So yeah, so that's kind of like where the whole dream thing kind of came from, you know. And also, like, of course, you're an artist, and you know you have these big dreams of making it big one day, and you know doing all this big stuff, and then when that kind of just gets taken away from you, and like you're kind of in stasis. And it's also speaking to, like, you know, you can dream a dream as much as you want, but if you're not actually putting some motion behind it, you'll never make it anywhere, you know.
Period. So thank you, and I actually want to talk about the way that you guys place the album. I think everything is so well placed. I think all the features that you have are, again, really well placed. The beats all fit the features perfectly. The mixing matches every song. So as someone personally who has witnessed the song changes, so I saw like the way y'all had this version and then y'all changed it up a little bit. I really do love what y'all came up with, and I would like. You're welcome. I'd actually would love if you could walk me through that process.
So basically just the whole creative process then. Well, you know, it's a lot of arguments. It's a lot of,
I feel that.
I want this, no, I want this, and then we got to meet in the middle. So yeah, it's definitely that, but also just like me and Diego grow, our changes evolved. Again, this was like a 2 to 3 year process. You know, we changed so much in that time. So like, you know, like we first started the album, and it was like I'm listening to this kind of music and, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, and I'm watching these kind of shows and these kinds of movies, and I'm super into those things. 1 year into the album, after, you know, things change. I'm into this now. I'm listening to this now. You know, this inspires me. And then, you know, you have these songs that kind of sit in the vault, you know. While you work on an album, you know, like we could have recorded the first song maybe in like 2020. You see what I'm saying? We come back to it in 2022, and it's like, this needs an update, you know? I'm a new Bastian. He's a new Diego now, you know? And that needs to reflect. So yeah, and as far as like the sequencing goes, we definitely wanted that to be like a focus. We definitely kind of wanted every song to kind of fall into the next song, you know? And just to give it that like dreamy feel, you know. We definitely wanted to take people on a ride. We definitely want to take them on that journey,
Which is what it feels like too.
And I appreciate that. Thank you for picking up on that. But yeah, we definitely want to take people on that ride, and it was a thing of just sitting there and like kind of it was almost like building a puzzle. You know what I'm saying? Trying to find where the right pieces match. Sometimes you have to sacrifice certain things. You know, like, oh, these 2 songs sound really good, but like thematically, this guy should go over here, and track 2 becomes track 15, and track 14 becomes track 1, and you know. And as far as the features go, those are just like our friends that have been our friends for like a long time, or guys that we just met, you know, while we were making music. I feel like they all kind of played a role. They all have a very specific skill set that I felt like played its part in, you know, like in the, I guess, narrative of the album, you know. I use like Frankie as an example and his style on Dreams Ending. but then also putting him on for real. Again, I kind of wanted this sense of like community. You know what I'm saying? So like, I wanted it not to feel like here's an album with all our features. I wanted it to feel kind of like a play, like an ensemble cast, right? Where like when you watch like a sitcom and like you have these characters that you grow attached to. That's why Koya's on all of the interludes. You see what I'm saying? I wanted it to not feel like, oh yeah, here's this special guest who's leaving. I wanted them to be a part of this world and, you know, help push that narrative. And also, again, like I feel like their skill sets were put in places where, yeah, you can really shine here, or you can create an interesting dynamic. Again, I'll use Aleda and Tobias as an example, right? On their songs, they own those songs. You know what I'm saying? Like those songs, that's kind of like their kind of like, I don't know, pocket universe within this world, right? Where they can kind of set the stage and paint the picture. And again, me and Diego, we don't appear. You don't see us on those songs. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, like, and I feel like their styles were like almost tailor-made for the sound. You know what I'm saying? And to help tell that story. Specifically Tobias, because I actually wrote Sad Tomorrows. So
you wrote?
Yeah. And I wrote it. I mean, again, and me and Tobias, you know, just coming up together in the Atomic Age and all that. I feel like I really have an ear for Toby's sound. I mean, honestly, Tobias is one of the people who kind of like taught me how to make music. He was the first guy to kind of like take me to the studio. So just watching Toby for so many years, I think I really have an ear for his sound. So when we found the sample for Sad Tomorrows, right? And Diego looped it, and I heard the sound. I was like, oh yeah, this is Tobias right here. So I wrote it with Tobias in mind, and then I just called him. We practiced it, recorded it, and then that's how that came about. So yeah, I hope that answered that.
No, it was great. And like the way that you said, it's like a play or a production, it feels like that. Like everything feels very intentional, like we are going through this journey within the album.
Yeah.
You kind of alluded to this a little bit, but I know a lot of the things you said reminded me of Amani Sol and me and Michaela's process, because we do have a magazine, and in that magazine we are like constantly evolving as people.
Yeah.
And the art that we are making kind of shifts us as we're creating. So for you, this was a 2-year process, so that's super long as hell.
Yeah.
How do you think you've evolved as a creative and as a person because of As You Slept?
Going back to the pandemic thing, you know, and having to you're locked in your house, you know, for like a year and a half, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like the quarantine was only a couple months, but like, again, just travel restrictions, right? And then like, you don't really want to leave the house because it's such a pain in the ass because you have to put a mask on, so I'd rather just stay home and just chill, right? You have a lot of time to yourself. A lot of time stuck in your thoughts and thinking, and there was a lot of just analyzing like my life and like where I'm at and where I need to be. You know what I'm saying? And like, where have I been up until this point? Or like, how did I get here? You know, where do I need to go? So you're constantly going through that, and I feel like the pandemic forced a lot of us to kind of evolve and grow as people. Right after the like. When things started opening up again, I moved out of my parents' house and into another house with my roommates. And again, that was a whole nother journey of just like self-discovery. So while we were making the album, to be very transparent, I think both me and Diego were definitely going through it, like mentally and emotionally. And I think just in that time, like what kind of forced us, I think the environment forced us to grow as people. And I feel like the changes that we made, speaking for myself, I can't really speak for Diego, but I definitely had to be more patient, be kinder to myself. You know what I'm saying? I definitely had to come to the conclusion of like, your journey is your journey, and you can't compare your journey to other people's journeys. You know, it definitely made me evolve as an artist. Just being locked in a room with Diego, like, how do I say this without sounding like, I'm not trying to sound arrogant when I say this, but before I met Diego, I was kind of put I would always be in places where like I was like, I took the music more serious than everyone around me, right? So like I kind of trained at it, you know, like I was the guy who would write a bunch of verses and just really try to work on the craft, right? I didn't really have that before I met Diego, like somebody else who did that. So when I came across Diego and we kind of locked ourselves in the studio, now I have somebody else that has like a sword that's also really sharp, you know, and steel sharpens steel. So I think I evolved 10 levels as an artist just off of the strength of I'm making a project with Diego. If I don't give this my all, I'm going to look really stupid from song to song, you know?
Yeah.
And that was definitely something that played in the back of my mind. And I definitely think that also kind of pushed me to grow in the direction that I grew.
So you mentioned kind of like being a student of the craft. So who are your creative and musical ancestors? Who are the people that guide you? Who are the people that you turn to when you're in a rut, don't know what to do, kind of just like, I don't have no inspiration? Like, who are the people that guide you musically and creatively?
I'm not sure if you're looking for artists or if you're just looking
Anything.
for people.
Artists, people, like the people who influence you, inspire you.
I feel like the way that I see it, right? If you're an artist and you're not inspired, get the fuck out of the house, right? Like,
Accurate.
Can I curse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. If you're not inspired, man, you got to get out of the house. Go outside, man. Like, because I feel like in the times where I feel like I'm not inspired, it's because I'm not living. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm not doing anything. Again, the pandemic was hard, right? Because I'm stuck in the house, right? And it's hard to be motivated or inspired to do anything. I come across Diego and I have this new dynamic in my life, and now all of a sudden I have shit to talk about, you know? So that's that. Now, as far as like people, like I said, it's the people in my life, like, you know, like, of course, you know, like my music friends inspire me, you know, like the guys like, you know, Div, Sean, you know what I'm saying, Rashad, yours truly, Logan, you know, Tobias, Diego, but also, you know, like my girlfriend, my parents, you know, I'm a talker. I like to meet new people, right? Like, so I'm the type of guy that I'll chop it up with a homeless guy. Let's see what the fuck he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? And that'll inspire me. Anything, man. It's just living and breathing. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the things. So it's not necessarily like people. Like, of course, I have like my artistic influences.
Yeah, who are those as well?
Okay, that's what you want.
I want everything. Like, I was great too. Like, I want it all. Who's inspiring Bastian The Less?
Fuck, man. Okay, so obviously like the basic ones that everybody loves: Hove, Nas, Andre, Big Boy.
Not too basic.
You know, those guys. You know, and then of course like. I think everyone wants to be Drake at one point, you know. I think Kendrick is a master, you know. That's and I've definitely studied at the Temple School of Kendrick. But Cole, those guys. But also like specifically when I was working on the album, like this Argentinian artist named Leon Dabia. A lot of his work, a lot of those like kind of like psychedelic Latin jazz sounds that he was bringing to the table was definitely inspiring me. I was listening to a lot of Cortex. It's a French funk jazz band from like the 70s. MF Doom, One Beer, the guys that he sampled, they definitely inspired me a lot. Definitely a lot of psychedelic things, you know, like a lot of things from like the 60s and the 70s. Because again, I wanted this album to sound dreamy, so I wanted a lot of crazy, dramatic sounds, and I definitely wanted to take you on this trip with us. So yeah, a lot of those kinds of artists inspired me. Solange's album, the last two that she dropped definitely inspired me and Diego a lot. I'm trying to think, but the people that I kind of you know, study at their school a lot. Isaiah Rashad, Earl Sweatshirt, Kendrick Lamar, Frank Ocean. Like those are probably the four that like you can't argue with me about those four because I'm always going to tell you that they're like the greatest no matter what they put out, you know. And I'm always going to and I'm going to be very biased towards so. And they definitely helped shape me as an artist. And of course a bunch of other people, but I'll be here all day if I went through all of them.
Yeah, I feel that. Thank you for that.
Of course.
So the next one, I know we've personally, just as you and me as friends, have talked about how people can try to like box you into a specific type of artist. And I think you a lot of times may get boxed into, oh, you're like a lyrical rapper, like a boom bap type of rapper. Yeah. But with this album, I actually love it because I think y'all are experimenting with so many different styles. Y'all have songs like Dreams Ending, y'all have songs like Miracle. Y'all kind of like really traverse the way that you can make music. So because of that, I have two questions.
Of course.
So one, how do you think the pressures on like the art of rap impact you as a musician of being like a certain type of rapper? And then how do you resist those labels?
I used to like break my head over this all the time of just like I never wanted anyone. I remember for a long time, right? I got like Benny the Butcher all the fucking time, like, and they were like, oh, like the '90s guys, like. But it was coming from people that don't really have like a reference for like rapping. You see what I'm saying? It's just guys that's like, oh yeah, he's not hitting like a triplet flow, and he's like, you know, rapping about the human condition. So like, oh yeah, man, you sound just like Jay-Z and Nas, or yeah, man, Benny the Butcher, because you like, you know, boom bap stuff, kind of. Even though like I have no songs that I'm rapping over some boom bap shit, but I used to really like, I used to get worked up about that, like how they because I felt like they were shitting on like my artistry. Like I feel like I'm doing so much, you know. I feel like especially before like the album came out, I feel like I was doing like so many different things, and it's like, Benny the Butcher for real? I feel like you're just pulling this out of your ass. Like, you know? And I'm thinking like, nah, man, like, but now it's just like, I'm gonna make what I want to make, and I don't care like how people like feel about it or what they label me as. I know who I am at the end of the day. I'm gonna continue to raise the bar. I'm gonna continue to push my artistry and figure out who I am as an artist. And I don't know, fuck it. Maybe by the end of all this, I'll make a flute album like I don't, right? Like,
Right.
You know, so yeah, man. I don't care how people feel about me as far as an artist and who they want to compare me to. You know, because I know I'm the only Bastian The Less you'll ever come across.
Period. But no, that actually reminds me of another question that I have. So you and Diego have very different styles.
Yeah.
You're much more hype. He's much more laid back.
Yeah.
And you referenced Outkast with us before about like wanting to bring in these different dynamics while also having this like consistency and like fluidity between you two. So, how do you think that dynamic manifests between you and Diego? And then why do you think it's important to like maintain and hone those distinct versions of yourselves, even when creating a project together?
Of course. Time to bring out the nerd in me. I'm a big fan of Samurai Champloo, right? And I always think of Jin and Mugen, you know, and how different they are from each other, right? And of course, you know, like, once they kind of get on the same page, they get a lot of shit done. You know what I'm saying? I think of me and Diego that same way. The differences between me and Diego artistically sometimes is cause for tension. You know what I'm saying? I'm very much so want this, he very much so wants that. We always try to meet in the middle. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, right? When we do, we get the album, right? When we don't, no one gets anything. So, but we definitely respect that in each other. It's a thing of like, I might not be seeing it Diego's way, but I respect it, so I'm gonna leave it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna. He's not wrong. He just wants this. You see what I'm saying? Or he just feels like this is better. I'm not wrong. I just feel like this works better. You see what I'm saying? But again, when you come together, like when we come together, it's definitely it's a beautiful thing, you know. And I think we get a completely new sound that we wouldn't be able to create individually from each other, you know. And also, I feel like I've picked up a lot from Diego. I feel like he picked up a lot from me. By the end of the album, like when we first started recording, like like I've been told like I come off like a shotgun when I rap or even just when I talk.
You're like fire, he's like water.
Yeah, sure. If you want to be headless about it, yeah, sure. But yeah, no, I feel like, like it's definitely Diego's definitely the more mellow. And like when we first started, I'm like, yo, Diego, you're gonna be chill, laid back on every song? Like, for real? Like, and then, you know, like, by the end of it, Diego's turning up a little bit, and he's doing different things. By the end of the album, I'm chilling out a little bit. I'm, you know, I'm not yelling into the mic. You know, I don't think I yell when I rap, but I rap loudly. You know, again, I'm not dialing it back, but you know, like, you know, doing different things. You know, I'm a little bit more mellowed out, and I'm taking pages from Diego's book. Diego's taking pages from my book, and then we also inspire each other to try new things. You know,
friendship.
So yeah, of course.
So what do you want your legacy to be, both as an artist and as a person?
I don't know, man. I don't really think. I've never thought about this. I think like every other artist, I think I just want to be loved, you know, and I want my art to kind of have an impact on the world, whatever that may be, you know. I want to be respected by the people that I respect, you know, and the same way that that I picked up the pen because I heard Illmatic, you know, or Good Kid, Mad City. I want somebody to pick up As You Slept one day and be like, yeah, I want to do what that guy's doing, you know. Hopefully I'm blessed enough to achieve that, but at the end of the day, man, I just want to, I don't know, I just want my legacy to be that of a person who worked really hard to achieve something, you know?
I respect that. Kind of wrap up, so I'm trying to think of like the best questions that I want to ask you. So for me as a poet, I do have some poems that are very personal to me, very vulnerable, and like even thinking about putting them out is like gives me anxiety. I'm like, ooh, do I really want the world to know this? But as a rapper and in this album, you do have some really vulnerable verses, vulnerable songs. So how do you kind of balance that idea of being vulnerable and honest with your art while also like keeping a piece of you for yourself?
I feel like I'm a hypocrite, right? Like as a person and as an artist, because there are things I would never tell my friends, right? There's things I would never tell my family, right? I just don't feel comfortable, and I don't know. I just can't get the words out. I will rap about it.
I feel that.
You know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy, and like I'm sure like that might cause problems. You know, like oh you rapped about this, but you didn't tell me this. You know, but it's just I don't know. I just feel more. I feel more comfortable behind the music. I feel more comfortable when I can kind of like dress it up.
It's like a buffer.
Like, well, I guess like if I were to tell you these things right here, right, it's so raw and it's like I might bust out crying, right, you know, and like in front of you, and like I'm ashamed by that. With the music, I can dress it up and then turn it into a movie and turn it into this big thing, and like you're listening to this and it's like. Because this happens all the time with big artists all the time, right? Like you listen to the album, it's like, oh my God, he's really talking about like this pain that he feels. But oh my God, the song is so fucking fire. Like, you know? So that's kind of how I feel. Like, I feel like, yeah, I can tell people these deep, dark things about myself, but like to them, it'll just be music and I don't ever actually have to talk about it.
Yeah, it's like you can kind of like detach yourself a little bit from it when you put it in the music.
For sure, yeah.
I feel that. All right, so I think we might have to wrap up.
Okay.
So I do want to ask really quick before we go, what is next for Bastian The Less?
You know, as much as I love Diego, well, we definitely got more music on the way, of course. And I'm definitely excited about what's coming down the pipeline as far as me and Diego together. But I think it's time for Bastian The Less to tell his story. I think it's time for me to branch out. And do more Bastian-centric things. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But for the time being, me and Diego definitely have some stuff on the way too.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you. I have more questions. We don't have time, but
of course.
I really enjoyed talking
You have my number.
So let's finish the conversation.
No, for sure.
But no, I always enjoy talking with you. I really enjoy just having this dialogue, this conversation. Everybody, please go and listen to this album As You Slept. It is very good, very amazing. And you know, read Amani Sol when it comes out, because it's also going to be amazing.
Yeah. What she said, As You Slept, out everywhere now. Go listen to that and be on the lookout for the next Amani Sol issue.
Period.
Cool.